Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About Meh. I am your host as ever, David Hobbs, and today we're just gonna catch up. That is the plan for this video today. But before I go any further, let me just explain to you what an absolute mess of an afternoon and morning I have had. I have not recorded a video since November because things have been busy, which I'll get into. But yeah, so I sat down to record and nothing wanted to work. Nothing. The camera didn't want to work, the lighting didn't want to work, and then the microphone didn't want to work. I have no idea why today, of all days, it chose to do this, but it did. And once I got everything physically to work, and once I fixed a lot of the issues, it all just decided at once, nah, mate, your camera needs updated. 2 hours to update the camera because the update kept failing. I've been having more and more problems with this camera. And then I was like, right, okay, come on, we're ready. We're ready to roll. Let's do this. Let's sit and natter for a while. I plugged everything in, pressed record, started doing my jibba jabba into the microphone. And yeah, then the microphone decides to tell me, oh, by the way, yeah, the mic needs updated too. So that put a kibosh on everything. And let me tell you, being autistic, organizing things to sit down and get stuff done, I have got massive executive function issues where I transfer from one thing. So I transition from one thing into another, or even starting a task is a nightmare. So yeah, I've forced myself really hard to do it now. Could have done without all of that drama. So yeah, moving on swiftly. Let's do the boring stuff first. Socials. You want to talk to me? You want to ask me any questions? You want to request me to do any interesting things? Not like that. Get your mind out of gutter. Or if you have any questions for people that have been on my podcasts prior, check out the podcasts on the YouTube channel as well. They're really good. Well, I think they're really good. I've still really enjoyed doing them. But anyway, here's my socials. If you want to email me, official let's talk about meh at gmail.com. Go on Instagram. Instagram's my main social media place to be. You can message me on there, but also give us a follow, give us a like. It's Let's Talk About Meh 1 on Instagram. And you know, do the YouTube bullshit. Like, subscribe, share. So yeah, since November, I have not been able to sit down and do a video since November. What's been going on? Well, the last video I did was Let's Talk About Game Over, which was Combat League Wrestling's last show of 2024. And then that rolled right into Christmas. I have a young son, Corbin, so Christmas is kind of like a big deal, obviously, when you got kiddies. Yeah, it was a good Christmas, but it was a busy Christmas. We had the in-laws up. No jokes. I say the in-laws, but my in-laws. But yeah, they were up for Christmas, so we did the whole big Christmas dinner thing and all that malarkey. I'm not a big Christmas guy, mainly because of the tism. It's just a lot of social protocol, traditions, things like that. But I have enjoyed Christmas so much more with Corbin. It changed when Corbin came on to go because it became less a me thing and more for him. So I enjoyed doing that. And of course, Susan as well. Susan really changed Christmas for me when we first started going out because I enjoy giving gifts to people that I love and doing things for other people that are close to me. So it takes the pressure off of me to be involved in the Xmas shenanigans. But yeah, it was really good this year. Managed to get some really good stuff for Corbin. Corbin, just in the lead up into Christmas, watched Star Wars for the first time. He watched the original trilogy first because that is a must. I'm the only person in this household that likes Star Wars. Susan will not watch it. She can't do it. which I find weird. Why does Star Wars have such a weird stigma connected with it? Well, hold on, sorry. This is a wee shout out for Richard Johns, who was also a guest on my most recent podcast, which you should check out. Yeah, he doesn't like it when the cup isn't shown, so I need to get new cups because I put the label on the wrong bit. You never see it. So, how good is that logo again, though? How good is that? Bear Hug Designs. Go check them out. Yeah, so he started watching Star Wars. And what the stigma? What is the stigma with it? I know that there can be some really hardcore Star Wars fans that are heavy into the lore. But how is that any different from anything else? There's people that are heavy into Marvel. There's people that's heavy into comic books. Yeah. And I don't understand how that particular fandom is any worse than others. Cosplaying obviously is now such a common thing in the past. Well, we'll get some due. I'm old now, but we'll say 15 years. But obviously, cosplaying is completely common, right? People dress up as their favorite characters. People dress up and put a lot of effort into their characters. Pretty sure Star Wars and Star Trek folk were kind of ahead of the curve on that. Um, but yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I know some people think it's a silly thing, with lightsabers and powers and whatnot, but like the original ones, they tell a good story. They tell good stories of good versus evil. Um, I always think there's more of a fantasy aspect to it. Like I always see Jedi's as like knights. I know they're called Jedi Knights, nah, but like I always see like it's almost like medieval stuff in space. Um, Obviously big buckethead Darth Vader being the old fantasy archetype of the Black Knight, uh, which is an obvious comparison. But yeah, I don't get the stigma. I've never been a Trekkie. I'm not a Trekkie. I've watched Star Trek. My granddad used to watch it when it was on terrestrial television. Terrestrial television is when we only had one, two, three, four channels. I remember when there was only four channels. I remember when the channels used to cut off at night. I didn't think I was that old, but I am. I remember when some of the channels in the afternoon would take a break for an hour and two, and the wee girl with the chalkboard and the creepy clown doll would come up on the screen. Um, I've gone on a tangent. I've totally lost where I am already. This is my day. This is where this video is going. Yes, I was never Trekkie, but I did watch Star Trek. I watched a lot of the old William Shatner ones and Next Generation Picard. I really like Patrick Stewart's one, but yeah, I was never heavy into it. Just watched it with my granddad. That was it. So more Star Wars guy. But yeah, anyway, so Corvin's watched the original trilogy. He fell in love with it. All the bombasticness of it. He's always liked lightsabers. Even before he got into Star Wars, he's liked lightsabers. He's got really cool ones that oh, hold on. I don't know if I try not to knock over my lights. The professionalism of walking off camera. Brilliant. Oh. Let's see if it's actually. Whoa, we got noise. So yeah, I bought him these little doodads a while ago, these are cool. I'm sorry, but they are cool. And notice that my son has it set to red, so he's one with the dark side. But they're cool wee things. They react, and he's got two of them, so we batter each other with them. I say we batter each other, but he batters me. I'll pop that over there just now. Yeah, so he was like really into like lightsabers, and he was attracted to the imagery of it. And then he's at that age now where he'll focus a little bit more. So we watched the original film. He loved it. Obvious problem with the big lightsaber fight at the end, which is not a big lightsaber fight. It's just two old dudes wiggling sticks at each other. And then I think it was only like a night or two later, we watched Empire Strikes Back in two sittings. He really liked that one. He was quite shocked at the fact that Luke gets battered at the end of that one and loses a hand. And and then he enjoyed Return of the Jedi, and he wanted more, so we watched the new three, which again made me feel really old because I think 2014, 2015, Force Awakens came out. he enjoyed them, but I was quite stunned. Although he loved the imagery of like Kylo Ren, the new bad guy, I was quite taken aback that he went more to the original trilogy, and even he kind of picked up that the new three films are so disconnected. They don't feel like, I know it was all like different directors and that, and there were so many changes and that. They're a mess. They are a mess, and they're. I wasn't that hard on them when they first came out because I was like, "Hey, it's more Star Wars. Let's enjoy it." Force Awakens, I like it. I don't mind it. The next two are, they're not good. They're not good films. Um, Especially Rise of Skywalker. It is, yeah, it's messy. It's not good. But here's hoping we get more. Would you? Oh, hello, hello. Come here. You want to come on camera? Come here, buddy. Look. Oh no. Yes, yes. Oh yes, yes. No, too much, too much. No, not the mic. Oh my goodness, you licked the mic. Oh, oh. So this is Myles. This is the wee terror of the house. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I love you. Yes, and I'm amazed he hasn't actually set off barking yet. But yes, you've come to see me just now, have you? Oh, you've just had your ginger and lemon treat thing, haven't you? Oh my lord, it smells. Not the mouth, not the mouth. Mercy, give me mercy. Stop it. No, no. Ah. Right, there you go. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's like being a teenager again. Ugh. All the tongue. Um, Thanks, Miles. That's now going to be out on YouTube. Cheers for that, bud. So he preferred the original ones. I haven't watched the prequel ones with him because I genuinely think that the prequel ones, I don't like the prequel ones, and I think they'll be a little bit too talky for Corbin. Um, he's not really interested in seeing Darth Vader out of the helmet. He'd rather see him in the helmet. But yeah, so we got into all that, and then for his Christmas, that was a long tangent to get back to where we were. But for his Christmas, Corvin likes Imagine X, so he's a DC boy as well because I've raised him DC, doing it right. So he loves these toys, Imagine X toys, and they have really really cool play sets, vehicles, Batman, all the villains, really bright, colourful, and some of them are cool. Like he's got a tank that morphs into a mech and a big bat cave. They're awesome. And he did say to me one time, because I really wish there was Star Wars Imagine X. And I was like, why isn't there Star Wars Imagine X? And they've recently just released these stupid sets where it's like it's like a 3 foot tall Darth Vader that doesn't turn into a base or anything, but it's just a 3 foot tall Darth Vader. It doesn't make any sense. And you get one little figure of it. And then there's like a 2 foot tall R2D2 that again doesn't turn into a base or anything, but you get one little figure of it. So I was like, there must be something. So I checked online, and it turns out in America, since like 2008, they've done two ranges of something called Galactic Heroes, which is Imagine X Star Wars. So I saved my pennies very hard, and I managed to get them what I could of the Imagine X Star Wars stuff, and it's got like really cute little like if people don't know Star Wars, there's things called at walkers. They got little toy versions of that. He's got like a little X-wing, and it's loads of little stormtroopers and stuff. So he was really happy with that. So I'm just keeping an eye on his dog because he's sniffing at things that I don't think he should be. No, you don't want that. You don't want that. Leave that alone, Miles. You don't want that. Good boy. Um, yeah. And I had a good Christmas myself. Susan kept a lot of surprises. See, most years I know what I'm getting. And this year, I asked just for a couple of models because big geek, and I got the couple of models, but she bought me so many wee surprises, and it was awesome. Like Wallace and Gromit t-shirt, Wallace and Gromit loungewear, loads of other stuff. My brain's gone blank at the moment, and she's gonna go be like, "Why can't you remember everything I bought you? Why don't you love me?" But yeah, my mind's gone blank at the moment. But yeah, it was good. Nice Christmas. Susan knocked it out of the park again with Christmas dinner. Although even though it was nice having the in-laws up, I had said in the lead up to Christmas this year that I would much rather that we didn't do a Christmas dinner because Susan goes all out for Christmas dinner. She's in the kitchen all afternoon, and she's an amazing cook, and she puts on so much effort, and her puddings are to die for. But I really just want her to not do anything for a year. So I'm hoping next year. Well, she said already that Susan's a steak fan, so I was like, well, why don't we just get some nice steaks in and just steak dinner for Christmas, and don't go the full haul. Because Corvin's autistic as well, he's got a very beige palate, so he's like chicken nuggies, dino nuggies, chips. He likes Yorkshire puddings, but again, it's like very plain palates. This dog is going to town on my hand. Oi. Yes, I love you too. So if you hear slobbering, that's what it is. Dave, think about what you're saying before you say it. If you hear slobbering off the camera, below table height, it is the dog. Fuck's sake. Yeah, so next year, a more laid back Christmas, because as well, for like the end half of the year, mentally, physically, financially, is just crazy in my household, because we tend to go away. We go away in September, October time. The last couple of years we've done like Seat and Sands, like caravan park stuff, because Corvin loves that. So we do that for a week, but traveling for me is a huge thing. It takes a lot of energy out of me. I do not like traveling. It's just sensory overload for me. It's too much. But yeah, so we usually go away for a week. There's a show in August, so we do the show, and then I go away, and then during that sort of time, it's Corvin's birthday in October, so that's obviously a whole thing, and then it's Susan's birthday in right at the start of November, so that's a thing, and then we go into the end of November show for the wrestling, and then straight out of the wrestling, I go into the lead up to Christmas. It's just ba 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 bow. And then every year I make the same mistake. I'm like, "Do you know what? I'm going to enjoy my Christmas, New Year. I don't celebrate New Year because I don't drink, but also just I don't get New Year. It's just another year. It's another number. Yay, we made it. We're no all deed. But yeah, I always say, I've got time. I've got time to sit and relax for a couple of weeks. I don't, because as Christmas is happening, I've got to get the promotional stuff going again for the next show, and then I've got to get the training back from holidays, and then we're straight back in, and yeah, it's a bit of a drain. I'm actually still don't feel like I've recovered yet. As of filming this video, we've actually had our first 2025 wrestling show called Press Play. So that'll be another video, which I think will be the next one I'm doing, where I'm going to talk about that, because that was good fun again. They've always been good fun, but it was a lot of fun. I'm excited for the stuff we're going to be doing in the lead up. So yeah, the other thing that delayed me making any videos for a good couple of weeks was I'm going to try and keep my emotions in check, because I do not live in a bad house by any means. I live in like a housing estate thing. But the company, I cannot endorse the company, which is Cairn. They are not good. They are not good. For anyone that lives in a Cairn house, I think you know what I'm talking about. It used to be a more local based housing company called Pentland Housing, and then they got bought out by Cairn. I've never had so many rental increases ever. On top of that, maintenance and things is just awful, absolutely awful. We have mold patches throughout the whole house. I have taken photos. I may be flashing up on the screen. I don't know, but we have mold patches, and they appear in the same place. I have been in my attic. There are holes in my roof. I see light coming into my roof, the sides and the trusses. There's water damage throughout all the top of my roof. There's water damage in the actual wood lining above my ceiling. So I believe before I moved in, it flooded before. I have been in this house for coming up for 4 years, and I have had 3 assessments on it. Be quiet, email. I've had 3 assessments on it, and I actually had the I don't know what you would call it, like a housing agent. I don't know. It's a fella you speak to when you got an issue with your house. It's not like a handyman. I think he runs like the office of Cairn. He came into my house and he inspected all my windows. Got guys to inspect my roof and that. And all he kept saying as he walked around my house, and I could feel myself fizzing a bit. He kept saying, "Oh yes, this house isn't fit for purpose. Oh no, I wouldn't buy a house like this. This house isn't fit for purpose. Motherfucker, why am I paying you rent if my house is not fit for purpose? The purpose is that my family lives in it and that I'm sheltered. And then you're going and going, oh no, it's not fit for purpose. What the fuck am I paying you rent for?" Um. So yeah, that was like 2 years ago. Since that 2 years, we had to fight and push to get our windows replaced, which we did because every window in his house failed, and all my box frames around it were rotten with mold. And I mean, they were rotten with mold, black mold all over. Water was just pissing at the windows. So I got them replaced, which I'm grateful for. Do you know what? No, I'm happy they're replaced, but I'm not fucking grateful about it because of the fight it was. We had bits of our roof get ripped off. That took a year to force them to fix it. That was done eventually. They've just done this whole thing in my area where they've been replacing bathrooms and that. I didn't want my bathroom replaced, but I had to get it done anyway. I had no issue with my bathroom, bar the fact that I had severe mold above the shower and I didn't have a proper extractor. I had no extractor fan. I've got no heating source and no extractor fan in the bathroom. They've ripped out everything. I've had my toilet replaced twice because it fails. Behind the toilet was a box frame that was built in. That wall's black with mold. Like, it is black and furry. And they have ripped that out twice and chose not to do anything about it. So I know it's still behind there, and we're essentially still breathing it in. They ripped the entire bathroom out. They've put like wet wall stuff on my ceiling and on, like, I actually liked my bathroom. I had nice tiles. I had like grey slate tiles and everything. I didn't put them in. It was previous occupants, but they were nice. Yeah, that's all gone. They've ripped it out, and it's wet wall, like the weird plastic stuff. The only thing that's cool about it is Susan bought a pile of Night Before Christmas waterproof stickers, and the shower's just covered in Night Before Christmas now, which I love. But yeah, Corbin's room, we have to constantly keep mold off the roof, and it's the same spot. And then I've actually got mold in this room, up in this corner, and along that ridgeway, and up in that corner and that middle section, and it's the same spots it comes back in. And we got the spiel of, the guy took a look around, looked rather disinterested, and just came out with the I swear it must be something that company gives them on a bit of paper, because other people have been told this word for word. And the long and short of it is, open your windows more. This house is freezing, by the way. Open your windows more and fire your heating on more. My heating's on a lot, and it's expensive. Don't know if you notice this, but electric is expensive. And I'm not like tight with it, because I'll make sure that Corbin and Susan are warm. We always make sure we're warm. But where the mold's coming in, we're no stupid. It's a roof and a poor insulation. And as of the last couple of months, my local paper has put one or two sort of like editions up, and the photo that was in the front page of the paper a couple of weeks ago was shocking. It was this young mother, and the photo was in her front corridor, and it had water, like you could see in the photo. It wasn't doctored. It was water running down the entirety of her wall in the corridor because it's so damp. I have seen photos on Facebook of people's houses by Cairn, entire walls covered in black mold. Like, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. And they've got a cheek to keep sending out, "Oh yes, we have more services, so we're going to raise your rent." Fuck you. People deserve to be living safely in their homes and not breathing this shit in. And the weird thing is, it's en masse and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. And it's disgusting. And I have so many more tales of how shit that company is. And they've got an office in Thurso, and that's like slowly just over the last 3 years disappeared. Uh, it used to be open Monday to Friday, 9 till 3 or 9 till 5, and it's just like, yeah, we're going to take days away. Yeah, we're taking that away. Oh yeah, we've got rid of half a staff. Oh, now we're only open for this and that, and now it's almost like don't bother coming in because we can't do anything for you because Inverness has got to clear everything. Um, Yeah. So circling back, sorry for the 10-minute rant there. Basically, I couldn't record a video because we were getting the bathroom ripped out, and I couldn't be in the house when they're doing it, and it took a long time to get it painted. And I don't understand why, but I'm not gonna pretend to understand because I'm not a painter. But it was only like white coat, and it took a week to get it done. 3 visits. So yeah, this is the first chance I've had. Oh yeah, thank you, Myles. Thank you for the affection. You hear me ranting and raving? Hmm? You hear Daddy losing his mind? Yes. Really? Um. Yeah. So I don't want to talk about the wrestling show too much, but it was a little bit stressful getting to it. I'm still in injury recovery with my hip. I'm still doing the rehab for it. It didn't go at the show. It didn't go, which is I'm really grateful for, but it's still pretty sore, and I still have to keep doing the rehab. But it's a slow process. But we're getting there. We're getting there. The run up to the show was rough. It was rough. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else has recently noticed, but things are fucking hard out there right now. The economy is mental. The price of things are crazy, and it just seems to be getting worse. And I'm now obviously because we put a show on. We're asking the paying public to attend and pay for tickets, and it's like I still try and keep our tickets as low as possible. I've always done that with this. Sorry, the dog's distracting me with this whole thing, and I think I've only raised it twice, but the pressure to raise it again it's there. Like it's always there. It's so hard going to keep it running, and we rely on pre-sales. Not even pre-sales, just people asking for tickets and making sure that we got any numbers when we go in. And it was tight leading into this one. Like they were low to begin with, and it's coming off of Christmas, January pay. We kind of where we put the show on, we made a slight error in judgment because we should have done like the first weekend in February instead of the last weekend in January because obviously people weren't paid yet. So yeah, that was really scary leading into that because and I don't say this for sympathy or for me, but it is literally a case of like if we, and it's been this way for 11 years, if we have one poor show, like to be fair, we've had one poor show, but that was due to like a tornado raging outside. But if we have like one really bad poor show, and now with how much things cost to hire and put on, nah, we're done, son. We're gonna have to stop. Um, in the event that happened, I'm not sure what I would do. Would possibly stop live performances for maybe a year and keep the training group going. But I think morale would hit so low through the floor, people would just be like, nah, well, what's the point? We'll just get on with our lives. Yeah, it's a shame, but it's a constant stress. Like it was really scary. This one was so scary. But I'll go into that more. I'm on a time limit for this video because it took me so long to get this going, so I better keep track of that. What else we been doing? What else? Man, just that Cairn rant's just totally blanked my brain. Um, yeah, that's. Oh, right. Yep. Sorry, I do have notes. Yeah, right. So music, that was an executive function as well. I'm not hiding it. I refuse to hide it. My brain just went totally dead there. On that note, so since I've started doing this, I've received one or two messages from people in my town and local area, um, about how me being quite open about my autism, um, and doing this, um, I've had some nice messages about it, which meant a lot to me, and I struggled to reply and convey that in a message back because the tism. Um, but I appreciate it. I really appreciate it, and it means a lot to me that you take the time to message me and say, you know, how this affected you, and what me doing this has done for you. It honestly means a lot to me. I did this just for fun. It was literally just a case I wanted to do something creative and kind of keep my mind busy with it, but also try and push my boundaries a little bit. Um, I'm a very creative person. I like being creative. Like I do music. The whole side of the wrestling's obviously is nothing but creative. Um, I like board gaming, comic books, art. I paint minis. I like projects. I like doing things. So this was kind of like a way to share a little bit more about my life and share my stories and other people, because I think a lot of people that I speak to are really interesting. Um, so it's meant a lot to me that I received those messages. I didn't know how to respond to some of them, and one of them in particular. So if this person is watching this video, then I have to say this. I was very, very, very. I felt what you said about isolation and the fact that I had to. I had to refuse a request, and it was really difficult for me to do. And I felt like the biggest fucking asshole on the planet. And I hope they didn't take it that way. Um, but it's me being the way I am. I have a circle that I'm comfortable in. I can't broaden it out. But that was one of the worst sort of. It wasn't anything bad. I'm making it sound worse than what it was, but I'm not going into the details just because it was their message. But it meant a lot to me, and it means that there's a little bit more of a point to doing this. I am planning at some point to do a video on my autism, but that is like a lot of planning, a lot of thingy, because it's a whole thing, and I don't want to turn that into how I approach it as well needs a lot of thinking, because I don't want to turn that into like a trauma dump video, because there's a lot of trauma with it, but there's just so much with it. But it is a video that I really want to do. But yeah, talking about being creative, that's something actually I managed to do during a wee bit of time I had from November to now, is I managed to get a little bit more music creation in, and I was only one night. So this is how the song piece of music came about. One night I was just setting up my old equipment. I don't use anything overly fancy, so basically the majority of my music making is done on this little doodad. Yeah, that's it. It's not very impressive, but I use it through the Mac, and Macs have amazing recording technology. I think it's Logic, Logic Pro that I've got, and it's brilliant. Uh, it's got amazing studio quality things to do in it, and loads of like effects, and there's like thousands of loops and samples, and if you've got a wee keyboard or a MIDI board like that, then you're set. But yeah, so I was just setting the keyboard up, just making sure it still worked, because it was sitting in storage for such a long time. And yeah, it was working. And then I just started playing on it a little bit just to make sure it was working. And I did this little, 4-note sequence. And Corbin was playing the Xbox, and he was like, "Oh, Dad, that really, really sounds like Halloween." Because obviously he came in and Halloween as Michael Myers. He's like, "That's got a Michael Myers sound to it." And I was like, hmm. Yep, sat down for the next 4 hours and created a song. Um, and I was really happy with it by the end of it. Really happy by the end of it. It's got that kind of like John Carpenter, um, Halloween-y vibe on it, which I quite like doing. I like that kind of like synth sound. I like I like taking genres and blending them together, or making something sound like it shouldn't really work. Um, but yeah, I had fun doing that. That was good fun, and then that led into me trying something a good couple of weeks ago now. Because again, I'm really struggling for time to get things done. Um, but I used to, when I was younger, I used to sing. I'm not an amazing singer, but I could manage a tune. In my teen years, I used to be in a band called Fear of Faith. What an edgelord name! How did that come about, Jack? Who came up with it? Jack was the drummer. Uh, Joe was Joe the prodigy guitarist. He was a guitarist. He was amazing. Jack was phenomenal as well, and Dan was on bass for a while, and then I think Dan moved away. And then I think we were a three piece for a long time. I don't think we ever replaced the bassist, which is really, really weird now I think about it that we didn't have a bass player to my god awful rhythm guitar. Uh, Joe's amazing guitar skills and Jack's amazing drumming skills. See that band Fear of Faith, right? That band at a time in ye olde days, and I am saying ye olde days, we were making our own music, and there wasn't a lot of that on the go back then. There was a lot of cover bands and stuff, but back then there wasn't a lot. So, and it was partly my stubbornness because Joe was like, covers. We need to do covers. If we want to get more gigs in bars and that, we need to do covers. And I was like, no, man, we're going to have to keep it real to the music, man. We can't do covers. We're going to sell out, brother. I was a dickhead. Truth be told was that I found it easier to create my own music than it was to imitate it. And I think it was a confidence issue as well. I didn't think I was good enough a singer to copy other artists. Like, I mean, if you're a huge Led Zeppelin fan and you're listening to Led Zeppelin and you're really enjoying it, and you've gone to their concerts and records and that, and then you go to the pub and you hear this like 17, 18 year, I think I was younger, I think I was 14, 15, 14, 15, 16, but that range. And I'm wailing out Led Zeppelin terribly. Like, nah, I get pelted. I would get pelted. I didn't have a confidence for it. And at a time, Joe was like a massive Led Zeppelin fan and Pink Floyd and stuff like that. Classic rock. He was a classic rock guy. And wow, band practice was a constant fight where I'd be like, nah, we don't need to do covers, man. We do our own stuff. And see that setup, by the way, like the fact that it was Jack who was only baby Jack. He was so young, so small, so tooty, and was a phenomenal drummer. Even at that stage, he was a really good drummer. And Joe was, I mean, the guy could play guitar with his teeth. Like, I bring it up quite a lot when I talk about it, but it still blows my mind. But he could blast out like Led Zeppelin solos, Steve Vai. He was really, really good, and he was younger than me. He was like 12, 13. Um, and then there was me in the middle of all. And I must have blagged. I still don't know how I fell into that band. I've totally forgotten how it happened. But I blagged my way in there. I must have blagged my way in. Because I was shit. I was. It's not me being hard on myself. See, compared to the two of them, I was shit. They had an absolute wealth of musical talent. I had a pinky of what they had. And I think we had a couple of good songs, and we did a lot of songs, like, but because we were kids, it was just like, all right, we've got this, we've got that, let's go listen, next one, next one, next one. And we didn't really sit and refine some of the songs that we did. I know one that Jack loved was Boogeyman. And that was a fun one to sing. I remember that. I remember Boogeyman. Uh, it's probably extremely bad sounding now and dated, but there we go. But yeah, they were phenomenal. And I have a lot of good memories of it, but I mostly have bad memories on my part, which I did mention, I think, when I was speaking to Steve. Another podcast you should check out where I spoke to Steve. Click on it in YouTube. But yeah, I was like, I don't think I didn't like the person I was back then. And I didn't think I was a bad person then. I wasn't like evil, but, and a lot of it was the tism where I couldn't see and I didn't understand social situations. And I think I had far too much urge to control the creative direction of what we were doing. And yeah, I just don't. I have a lot of regrets about it. But I'm glad to see that Jack is heavily involved with music and knows his stuff, and he's in a good couple of bands. He's in Going Postal. You've probably heard them live locally, and Pale Moon, which is almost the weird thing with Pale Moon, right? For me, is when you like hear the term supergroups, right? Pale Moon's like a Caithness who's who of supergroups. Um, the guy will know remember me from Adam, and I think I'm going to get the name wrong. I really think I'm going to get the name wrong, so I apologize for it. But Lyle Watt, the guitarist, he'll know me from Adam, but I remember him when he was really, really tiny and he was in like first year of high school. And I remember this guy was just walking about with this amazingly fancy guitar, and then the things he could do on it was just crazy. So seeing him in that band and all grown up, uh, and Jack, and oh my god, and Isaac, it's almost like a north of the Highlands supergroup. And I'm glad to see that Jack's following his passion and enjoying what he does. I have no idea what Joel's doing these days. I never sort of kept in touch with a lot of folk because after like third year of high school, I kind of like pulled myself out of high school. I was a dropout. Um, and I just exiled myself from everything. I hid away from the world. I just didn't socialize at all. Barely left the house other than to go to someone else's house, which was the only other place that I went, and that was it. I didn't maintain friends. I didn't socialize. I didn't do what you should have been doing at that point. It's just the direction that I chose to go. So I think Joe's involved in engineering or something in the last, like bioengineering, not bio, eco. I don't know. But I know he's the last bit of information I had was years ago was that he was married. And the only reason I know that is because Jack went to the wedding and that. But yeah. Yeah. So anyway, my point was again, wild tangents. This is what happens when you're out of practice. Because I felt like I was getting a good flow with the videos. And this one's just I'm a mess, and having all the tech problems beforehand is completely thrown me. But we're gonna push on, and I'm gonna keep talking shit into the mic. Because Scoops is working in Tesco's and needs to hear my random shit. Appreciate you, Scoops. Hashtag justice for Scoops. But yeah, so I was getting back into music creation, and I used to sing in a band. This is where we left off. Thanks for coming back, Dave. You're back in the room. Yeah, so I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna give it a go and try singing again. And wow, these pipes are not in good condition. It was tough. It was really tough. I chose to try a cover, even though I just said about like, oh, you like covers, man. Because I used to be able to write my own songs and sing my own lyrics and own melodies. That's all gone. I've got this huge block where I can't write lyrics anymore. I used to like write poetry and just say, bleh, and it was rubbish. It was absolutely rubbish. But I used to just get it out there, and I can't do it now. Creating music, I can do. Compositions, I can do. But it's just such a block. A cover I can do now because I've got something to work off of. But I always like to try and really take the cover and mess it up. So it's like you know what the song is, but I've changed it enough that it's something at a slightly different genre, or it's a mesh of genres. But yeah, I tried singing and it was rough. It was rough. And it got to a point where I had to ask Susan to come into the room, and I was like, how does this sound? I says, don't sugarcoat me on it, because my brain started going into like mega control where I had to keep tweaking it, leveling it, getting this right, getting that right. And then it got to the point where I was like, this is shit. Take 2, take 3, take 4, take 5. I mean, I was doing like upwards of 50 takes. My voice was just completely going. And then it just got into this spiral where I couldn't control it. And I was like, Susan, does this sound shit or not? And she was like, no, it's not that bad. I was like, thank you so much. I value your opinion. She walked out the door and I deleted it and did it again. And she was right. It wasn't that bad, but I went into this wild spiral. So I've stepped away from it for a wee bit, but it's not great. And since I did that, I now have tonsillitis because I pushed my vocal cords that hard, which you can probably hear. My voice is never quite recovered. So once this gets better, I'll slowly dip my toe back in again. But it was, a fun thing for me to try and do, and it's a big deal for me to try and get back into singing. Um, my composition stuff, my most recent composition stuff, which I quite like. I've only done about, I think, 3 songs. Um, my dad's pushing me to put it up on Spotify or something. So, like, my dad's my biggest fan of my music, which I appreciate. But I'm always like really nervous about sharing stuff. Like, and I shouldn't be now because I'm sitting here talking utter crap into a microphone and people are watching it. So yeah, that's part. We're gonna have to get them up on Spotify. We're gonna have to do that. I'll take that step. I think it's just because it's such a personal thing, and it's like if I get any criticism on it, I'm gonna crumble like a baby. I've been obviously managing to get podcasts done. I wanted more under my belt than I have, but it's just getting people in. And Christmas was a stupid time to try and get people in for podcasts because, other people have lives and families and things to do. Shocking. But yeah, so I did a podcast with Big Stephen. I was about to do it again. I was about to call you. Right, so I've got a habit. I keep calling Stephen Murray. And that's the last name of someone else I know, which is Liam Murray. And I almost did it right at the start of the podcast. It's Stephen Ness. I was speaking to Stephen Ness, and he's a young lad who's training at Combat League, and I got a really good chat with him. Really good chat. He's a nice dude. He is the definition of a gentle giant, who is also a gentleman, absolute gentleman. I really enjoyed talking to him. Found out some truly heinous things about him, though. Justice for Scoops. Go check it out. I'm not going to tell you what we talked about, but go check it out because it's a good chat. And it goes in some good directions. And he put far too much thought into whether or not he would like a hobo's ass crack. But it was good. I enjoyed that. And I want to get another one. Everyone I've done a podcast with, I'm going to get them back because even though that we're hitting about the 150 when we talk. See, when the camera goes off, there's another hour of us chatting stuff that we can't put on camera. But there's so much more to talk about. And everyone so far, I've only done 3, but all 3 of those I've thoroughly enjoyed. And I felt like there's been a different vibe and a different personality in each one. The next podcast I managed to get done, I think it was a week later, or a week to 2 weeks later, which was Richard Johns. Again, go check it out. Richard was a good one as well. Richard's lived. I enjoy speaking with Richard. Richard is much more like yourself. He's more my age group, ageist. But I really really enjoy chatting with Richard, and he's led a very interesting life. And I learned some things about him too. Didn't know about the art. He's also a trainee as well, and recently debuted brilliantly. And yeah, go check it out. Really, again, someone I'm going to have back on. I have loads of other people lined up that I have spoken to, that I haven't spoken to, that I'm going to be doing it with them. I still haven't got one with Alex, which I want to at some point. But again, it's just trying to get them done on a weekend. I did not have the energy or the soul in me last time. Plus, I think it was the weather was really bad, so the car with the imports only turned up on the Saturday afternoon because it was so dangerous, the roads. With that high winds, and Glasgow got hit really bad, and Caithness got nothing at all. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it at the moment. I'm going to prattle on about not the longest of videos I've done. Still long enough. So let's just hit the socials one more time. Email me on official letstalkaboutmeh@gmail.com. Instagram is letstalkaboutmeh1, and the YouTube is where you are now. Well done, you. You found me. And look at it in all its glory. What a pile of shit. Yeah. So the next video is definitely going to be me talking and nattering about the first Combat League Wrestling show of 2025. We have the review night for it tomorrow night where all the trainees come around, and I haven't actually watched the show properly. I saw some of the matches live, obviously, because I was there. But I want to talk about it properly after I've seen everyone's matches and get it fresh in my mind so I can sit and record a video. But yeah, hope you're all doing well. Hope you all had a good Christmas. And hopefully 2025 is not as tiring and draining as it seems for everyone else at the moment. New year, new me. Fuck that shit. It needs to be new year. Everyone else and everything else needs to get better. It's got to get better at some point, isn't it, folks? It's got to get better. Oh God, it's got to get better. Peace.